All right, if you don't have 5 or 6 hours for ribs, I'm going to show you how to get perfect ribs in just 3 hours. Picked up these racks from Milo's Meat Shop in Gilroy, California. We're going to start by removing the back membrane. Just grip it and rip it. Then we're going to add some mustard as a binder for the haters out there. Rub that all over, then season the back. Tonight we're using a new pork seasoning we've been working on. Add that binder to the front, rub it all over. Then we're going to season the front. Make sure you get every single inch. Tonight we're using a new pork rub we've been working on. We can't wait to share this with everyone. Now these are going to go on for 1.5 hours unwrapped. After that, take them off. We're going to wrap in foil. We're going to add some pats of butter, a little bit of brown sugar, and whatever barbecue sauce you want. This one is Traeger's apricot barbecue sauce. Add your ribs, meat side down, wrap them up extremely tight, then back on the smoker for another 1.5 hours. Cuts like butter, falling off the bone goodness. Let's go.
Yo, it looks pretty good. Crispy. You hear that crunch?
I had quite a bit of dumpling filling left over. Usually I would go with steamed buns, but I really wanted something baked and delicious, like hujiaobing. I'm obsessed with my parents' bread machine, guys. It just saves me so much time kneading dough. The dough I'm using here just has regular yeast, some sugar, salt, a little bit of oil, and I made 10 of these baked meat buns. Basically, what you want to do is roll out the portioned dough like you would a dumpling wrapper so that the middle is thick, the sides are thin. A generous amount of filling, and then wrap it up like you would a steamed bun. But then those folds go on the bottom and you roll it out until it's kind of flat. Oh my god, I had an accident in one. It was so traumatic and kind of hilarious. Look at it. But it's okay. I performed surgery and they all turned out fine. I did go in with 2 rounds of egg wash. This is round 1. And I just let them bake and the egg wash set for about 8 minutes. Did a second egg wash and added some sesame seeds. Let them bake for another almost 20 minutes, I think. I wasn't paying attention. Just whenever they're golden brown, they're probably good. Let them cool for a bit until they were cool enough to handle. And I just took a big bite and burnt my entire mouth. But these were so good, guys. The bun was nice and fluffy, the meat was so juicy. Just a really good snack.
Let's make Persian spaghetti. This is one of my favorite dishes since childhood and reminds me of my grandma. You cook and rinse your pasta and make your sauce. Today I've made a vegan bolognese. To a pot, add a good amount of oil. I'm also adding some saffron. You then layer a good amount of pasta and some sauce and you keep layering all the way up. Cook on a very low heat for 45 minutes. In the last few minutes, you crank up the heat. Flip it over like a spaghetti cake, and the best part is that golden crust at the top called tahdig.
Today we're making, in my very humble opinion, the best turkey that you can make this year. It's extremely juicy and so tender that it literally falls off the bone, and I honestly love it a good 10 times more than my recipe last year, so this is how I made it. We're going to begin with our brine, so go ahead and grab a large pot that can fit your turkey and fill it up about 3/4 of the way with water. Add in everything that I have displayed on the screen, and you want to bring it to a boil, and you want it to completely cool before you add your turkey in. Once you add your turkey in, go ahead and cover it, and you're going to set it in the fridge overnight. Now heading into the next day, we can get started on our compound butter. I'll have everything on the screen for you guys as well. And make sure you mix very well to make sure everything is well incorporated, and set it to the side. Here I've completely rinsed my turkey from our brine, and I'm separating the skin from the meat. And you're going to go ahead and grab your compound butter and add it inside the skin as well as on top, and then season and make sure you rub in your seasonings. And I'm also injecting some garlic butter. Stuff your turkey with whatever you'd like, and we're going to tie the legs together and bake at 400 degrees for about 2.5 hours. And while it was cooking, every 30 minutes, I injected it with the juice that fell to the bottom of the roasting rack, and you're done.
Let's make delicious turkey gravy. 2-quart pot, 6 tablespoons unsalted butter. Melt the butter medium-low heat. Add a little at a time. See that? That's the texture you want. It's like wet sand. Whisk vigorously, 1 minute. 1/4 cup white wine. Whisk. It's gonna tighten up. Go through your word. 3 cups turkey stock. Whisk. Bring to a bubble, medium-high heat. That's what you want right there. Reduce to medium-low, 15 to 20 minutes to cook out the raw flour flavor. Now that there is a gravy.
Generally, turkey, the white meat is a little dry, so you have to make a delicious gravy. I use a little pomegranate juice. You also can add a little touch of white wine to it. White wine has a little acidity, so it's really also good for your gravy. Let's scrape all the things out. It looks delicious already. I don't like when the gravy is all white. I like a little color to it. Add a little stock and let it cook for a little bit. I love the acidity with it. It's really delicious from the pomegranate and the sweetness. I'm gonna make a little roux here. I have 2 tablespoons of butter and add a tablespoon or 2 of flour. So we're gonna cook that a little bit. I generally like when it's still blown. You know, if in New Orleans they cook the roux really dark. I don't like when it's too dark, it's too strong. Just a minute or 2 over medium heat, that's it. And we're gonna add it to our gravy. We're gonna now strain our sauce, sure to get everything out. So you can see there's nothing left in the pan, so all the flavor is in your gravy. Now, a lot of people ask me, how thick should the gravy be? Well, I show you the way I like it. The perfect gravy has to coat the spoon just like this one. Making a great vegetable side dish is so easy with root vegetables. You roast them with a little butter, a little oil in the oven until they get nice and caramelized. Look at the Brussels sprouts. They get the most flavor when they are nice and brown. Forget about boiling Brussels sprouts. This is the way to cook them. Roast them in the oven and you will have a perfect flavor. And here we go. We have our roasted vegetables, mashed potatoes, and our beautiful turkey. Now, who doesn't like mashed potatoes with a little gravy on top? Don't forget the turkey. We can put a little gravy on the turkey, especially if you present the whole bird. The 4 vegetables, mashed potatoes with gravy. I can't wait to share my Thanksgiving with you out there. Call me what you are doing.
So Christmas is just around the corner, and I'm going to show you guys literally the easiest gravy. I start by adding about 4 tablespoons of butter, melt that down, I add in 1 chopped onion and a little sprig of thyme. Once it's all nice and soft, I go in with about 3 heaped tablespoons of plain flour, mix that in for a couple minutes, and then I go in with a litre of chicken stock. Cook this for about 10 minutes until it's nice and thick, and then we're going to put it through a strainer. This recipe is great because you can do this part ahead of time and just chuck it in the fridge. Okay, now this is the important bit. You want to lay carrots, onion and celery and a load of fresh herbs under whatever meat you're going to be cooking. So here I'm having a turkey, so I've got all the turkey juices in the bottom of the pan. Once it's finished cooking, just remove the meat and you're going to put this back onto a hob. You then want to pour in 1 large glass of white wine and the thicker gravy that we made earlier. Give this a really good mix, let all the ingredients marry together. You want to cook this for about another 10 minutes until it's thick. Strain it, try not to spill it like I did, and then you have the perfect gravy. Honestly, it's so quick and easy. Make sure you guys message me on Instagram with any questions that you might have.
Today for episode 2 of the Thanksgiving series, we're making the best mac and cheese because you guys loved last year's recipe and I just wanted to give you guys an even better version. To begin, we're going to add all of our heavy cream, our cream cheese, as well as all of our seasonings, and we're going to let it simmer on low heat and set it to the side. Here I'm just boiling my 1 pound of macaroni, but remember before you drain it, you want to save 1/2 cup of your pasta water, and then after you drain it in the same pot, we're going to saute our garlic and our shallots. You want to saute them for about 2 to 4 minutes, then add in your flour and saute until it's slightly golden. Add in your sauteed heavy cream, as well as your pasta water and all of your cheeses. Mix on low to medium heat until your cheese is nice and melted. It should look something like this, and then you can pop in your macaroni and give it a good stir. You want everything to be nice and coated, and then you can get ready for layering your macaroni. You want to add a layer of your pasta, a layer of whatever cheese you like the most out of the 3 cheeses that we used, another layer of pasta, another layer of cheese, and we're going to bake at 350 for about 10 minutes or until you're happy with the top layer of cheese. And then take it out whenever you're satisfied, and you're done. Today is the first episode of the Thanksgiving series, and we're starting off strong yet simple with mashed potatoes, so this is how I made them. You're going to begin by peeling, cutting, and washing your potatoes. I used around 4 pounds. You want to add your potatoes as well as 10 to 20 cloves of garlic, depending on how strong you want that garlic flavor to pull through, to a pot of water, and you want to bring it to a boil until it's nice and fork tender, like so. And then you're going to drain your potatoes and add it to a clean bowl, or you can use the same bowl, and then add in all of your additional ingredients. I'm using both Parmesan and Asiago cheese just because I believe they complement each other so beautifully, but you can keep it just Parmesan if you'd like. You want to mash your potatoes until it's at the consistency that you prefer. Taste it, see if you'd like to add any more of whatever ingredient, and then you're ready to plate it. I also added 2 tablespoons of melted butter with a little bit of garlic powder mixed in just because I wanted to enforce that garlic flavor even more, and you're done. Today, for the 5th episode of the Thanksgiving series, we're going to be making cornbread, so let's get started. Honestly, cornbread is one of the easier things to make for Thanksgiving in my opinion. You're just going to start off by mixing together your dry ingredients and then setting it to the side so we can get started on mixing together our wet ingredients. We're adding our sugar, eggs, oil, butter, sour cream, buttermilk, all that good stuff, and whisk it together really well until it looks something like this. And then we're going to slowly start adding in our dry ingredients, and you want to fold it in until it looks something like this. Add your batter to a lined baking dish like so, and we're going to bake at 375 for about 25 to 30 minutes. Again, it just depends on your oven. Serve it with jam and honey. That's what I grew up eating it with, and you're done.
Yes, this is what we eat at Thanksgiving, corn casserole. It's been a family favorite for years. Spray your baking dish really well. Put 20 ounces of corn, 20 ounces of cream corn, 8.5 ounce box of Jiffy Mix, 2 eggs, 3/4 stick melted butter, 5 ounces of sour cream. Mix that up really well. Pour that in your baking dish, spread it out evenly, put it in the oven, bake it at 325 for 1 hour, and it's going to rise a little bit. And here it is, one of our favorite Thanksgiving treats, corn casserole.
Today, for episode 4 of the Thanksgiving series, we're making sweet potato casserole because you guys seem to really enjoy last year's recipe as well, so I just wanted to change it up a little bit and get up a new recipe for you guys. You want to begin by peeling, cutting, and washing your sweet potatoes and then setting them to the side so we can get started on our egg mixture. In a bowl, you want to add all of the ingredients that I have displayed on the screen. You want to whisk it up really well, and then you're going to set it to the side so we can get started on our crumble. The crumble is extremely easy to make as well. You just want to add in all of your ingredients, and then you can also use your hands for the mixing part, but if you don't want to get messy, go ahead and use a wooden spoon, and then set it to the side so we can get started on layering our sweet potatoes. You're going to add a layer of your sweet potatoes, a layer of your egg mixture, and a layer of your crumble, and you're basically going to repeat that one more time. Pop it in the oven for 30 minutes, and then take it out of the oven, cover with foil, and bake for another 30 minutes. Once it's beautifully baked like so, you're going to top it with your marshmallows. You don't want to add too many because you don't want it to overflow in the oven, but just bake until they're nice and golden. You can also broil it if you want a little bit of char to your marshmallows, but I also brushed mine with some honey butter before I served it, and I was done. Today, for the 3rd episode of the Thanksgiving series, we're making the most perfect buttery, fluffy bread rolls, and what makes them even better is that they're shaped as pumpkins. To begin, we're going to mix together our warm water, our yeast, and our sugar, and we're going to let it rest for 10 minutes. After our 10 minutes, we're going to add in the rest of our ingredients besides our butter, and then we're going to knead it for about 5 minutes until it's roughly incorporated like so. And then we're going to add in our room temperature butter and knead it for 10 minutes until it's nice and smooth. Add your dough into an oiled bowl, and then we're going to cover it and let it rest for 1 hour, and then 1 hour later, we're going to separate it into about 10 mini dough balls. Here I'm overlapping 4 pieces of string, and you want to add your dough ball on top and keep tying each individual piece until you're left with this beautiful pumpkin shape. And what I found is that the thinner that the string is, the better your pumpkins will come out. So go ahead and add them to a baking tray after you let them rest for 10 more minutes. Brush with egg wash and bake at 350 for about 10 to 15 minutes or until they're nice and golden. It really just depends on your oven, and you're done.
If you'd like to try something a little bit different for your Thanksgiving dessert table, give this a go. I call this the original pumpkin pie. I put this on my website probably about 10 years ago, based off of just something I read in an old book. I kind of figured it out. So hundreds of years ago, the early settlers did not have dough or flour to make pie crust. What they did was hollowed out pumpkins and filled it with custard and roasted it in the fire. So this is kind of loosely based off of that. I just get a sugar pumpkin, hollow it out, make a custard, fill it, roast it in the oven, and then enjoy it later that day or the next day. It just needs like 4 or 5 hours to chill. So it's kind of like an edible history lesson, definitely a conversation piece around the table, and it's just kind of fun to make. So I don't know about you, but I can't wait for Thanksgiving. And tomorrow I'm going to share with you my favorite Thanksgiving dessert. Can't wait.
An old-fashioned grated sweet potato pudding is a labor of love. We only got this dish once a year because it's so labor-intensive. The hardest part is hand grating 3 sweet potatoes. This was literally me 35 years ago helping my mother grate sweet potatoes, and now my baby is helping me. Look at God. When you get down to the nub, please throw it away because you will grate your fingers. Once your sweet potatoes look like this, you want to add a cup of sugar and 1 egg. Now you want to come through with your spices. You're going to need some cinnamon and nutmeg, about 1/4 teaspoon, a teaspoon of vanilla extract, 3 tablespoons of butter, and a cup of milk. Mix well until everything is well combined. The great thing about this dish is you can make everything right in this one Pyrex. Now smooth it out and then bake on 350 for about 1.5 hours, hour and 45 minutes. And it comes out looking like this. I love sharing old school Southern recipes with you guys and also with my daughter so she can one day make them for her family. That's what my mama did for me, so that's what I'm doing for her.
I don't relate to you, no, 'cause I never treat me this shitty. You made me hate this city, and I don't talk shit about you and me, and never told me anything bad, 'cause that shit's embarrassing. You and my everything, all that you did make me fucking sad. So don't waste the time I don't have. Don't try to make me feel bad. I can talk about every time that you showed up on time, but I got
Eggnog from 1895. So eggnog is already one of my favorite things, but homemade is supposedly 10 times better. Oh my gosh, by golly. We start with the yolks of 5 eggies. Save the whites. Then we whisk in sugar. Doesn't tell me how much, so I'm gonna use a cup. It's Christmas. Yes, I will be calling this eggy-nog. Now we add 2 cups of moo juice and 1 cup of heavy cream to a cauldron. Sorry, my cauldron's in the dishwasher. Cinnamon, 4 cloves. Fire! We're scalding, not boiling. Then we temper the eggs with about half of this mixture. And then back you go. Low heat until thick. Done. Strain it. Not today, cloves. Egg whites. Come on. Time for mixing. Just a touch of sugar. Fold. Nutmeg. Now, if you're not comfortable with raw egg whites, you can heat this whole mixture back up, but it won't be as fluffy. To the fridge. Oh, it's thick. More nutmeg. Oh dear. This has ruined all other eggnog. Delicious. It's life-changing. It's Christmas.
French hot chocolate.
City sidewalks, busy sidewalks, dressed in holiday style. In the air, there's a feeling of Christmas. Children laughing, people passing, meeting smile after smile. And on every street corner you hear
conversation, we lose track of time. Have I told you lately I'm grateful you're mine? We'll watch The Notebook for the 17th time. I'll say it's stupid then you'll catch me crying.
Peppermint patties from 1946. Now, I didn't know that one could make these at home. I thought it was a closely guarded industrial process. But apparently not. Take that, Big Peppermint. We start with 1 cup of sweetened condensed milk. In goes 1.5 teaspoons of peppermint extract. Be very careful with this. Stuff's stronger than my desire to drop out of college. Slowly add 5 to 5.5 cups of powdered sugar. Christmas time means sugar time. You can use a stand mixer. I'm just easily frightened by machinery. Done. Now you might need more or less powdered sugar. You're just looking for a workable dough. Parchment. More powdered sugar. Hello, Dolly. To the freezer. Now over a double boiler, we melt 4 cups of chocolate. Adding to it 2 teaspoons of shortening. Get off with the spoon! Fire! Then once your chocolate is melted and your patties are firm, you take a fork. And then, woo! It's a little bit messy. They don't stop. To the fridge. Woo! Yes! Look at that. You can do that. 10 out of 10. How are these so perfect? Corn cookies from 1930. Now, if cornmeal were to end up in my sugar cookie dough, I would consider that a mistake. But these people have done it on purpose. Do you know what that's called? Criminal intent. Begin by creaming a 1/2 cup of margarine with a 1/2 cup of sugar. They say using softened margarine is ideal. No, honey, what's ideal is not using margarine. 1/8. So far, so good. And then came the cornmeal. Cornmeal in a sugar cookie. What a bright idea. Oh, cornmeal on the floor. I'm gonna start needing blood pressure medication. 3/4 of a cup and 1/2 cup of flour. Mixed. Now we form a log. Come on, be a good corn log. To the icebox. You are frozen. And now we roll it in cornmeal. Cookies. 8 minutes at 375. Huh? Whoa. This is lovely. It's a sugar cookie with a bachelor's degree. Bravo.
Today we're making the best brownies I think I've ever made. I've redid this recipe at least like 3 to 4 times trying to get it perfect for you guys, so this is how I made it. We're going to begin by melting together our butter and our chocolate, mix it together well, and we want it to completely cool, so go ahead and set it to the side while we get started on our next step. Here I'm just adding in all of our wet ingredients. You want to give it a good mix, and then we're going to add in our cooled chocolate mixture, and then we're going to get started on sifting in our dry ingredients. Fold everything together until well incorporated, and this is also where you can add walnuts or more chocolate if you'd like. Add it to a prepared baking dish like I'm doing here, and bake at 350 for about 30 to 45 minutes. It honestly depends on your oven, and you're done. Today we're making pizookies just for the pure fact that a pizookie is basically heaven on earth. The warmth of the cookie, the ice cream on top, there's nothing to complain about, so this is how I made it. We're going to begin by beating our cold butter and sugars together. The longer that you beat them together, the better that your cookie will come out. And then you're going to add in your second batch of ingredients and then mix until well incorporated. And then we're going to get straight into adding our dry ingredients and then, or as well as our chocolate, and we're going to mix until well combined again. Add your first layer of cookie dough and then a layer of chocolate if you'd like, and your second layer of cookie dough, and bake at 350 for about 15 to 20 minutes. It really just depends on how well baked you want your cookie, if you want it to be more gooey on the inside or if you want it to be completely baked through. Add your ice cream and caramel, and you're done.
Let's make pumpkin cookies. Half a cup of softened butter, 1 cup of sugar, mix 2 eggs, and 1 cup of pumpkin puree. Mix again. Now add in 2 cups of flour, 4 teaspoons of baking powder, 1 teaspoon of salt, 2.5 teaspoons of cinnamon, half a teaspoon of nutmeg, and 1/4 teaspoon of ground ginger. Mix, mix, mix. Oh, buddy. Look at that. Scoop, scoop, and plop. Scoop and plop. Scoop and plop. Now bake at 350 for about 12 minutes. For the frosting, you're gonna need 4 ounces of softened cream cheese, 1/4 cup of softened butter, half a teaspoon of cinnamon, and 1.5 teaspoons of vanilla. Whippity whip whip. Now slowly add in 2 cups of powdered sugar. Can we just take a second and frost your cookies and take a big bite? Oh my goodness.
Wait, so you've never made a cake in a mug? You need to have this right now. Like literally go grab a mug and fill your mug with all these ingredients. It's not even that many. And straight up just mix it and throw it in your microwave for like anywhere between a minute to a minute 30 depending on your microwave. And look, it puffs up, it feels like cake, and guess what? It tastes like cake. I just microwaved some blueberries, put them on top, and straight up, look at that texture. Do it.
This is Shoe Pastry 101, okay? All the tips and tricks you need to know about making professional looking shoe pastry at home. We're gonna start with a crackling. So I've got unsalted butter, I'm gonna add in light brown sugar and beat it till it's smooth. And when it's smooth, you're gonna add in flour and ground almonds and beat it until it forms a dough. Take the dough and roll it into like a rough kind of rectangular shape. You're gonna put it on a silicone mat or some parchment paper, put another silicone mat on top, and then we're gonna roll it out really nice and thin. Don't worry about the shape, you're just gonna roll it relatively thin. Put that in the freezer for 30 minutes and then you're going to cut up discs about 2¼ inches wide. And this is where it gets a little bit tricky because it's so thin, it will soften so easily at room temperature that you need to work very quickly from the freezer. As soon as you pop that shoe pastry, take the disc out the freezer and put it on top. For the shoe pastry, we got salt, we got butter, we got sugar, we got milk and water. We're going to bring that to a boil. Once it comes to a boil, off the heat, all right, you're going to place a sieve on top and then you're going to take bread flour and you're going to sieve that in, stir it through to form a dough. Then we go back on the heat and we stir this constantly for 2 minutes. Take that off the heat, add it into a stand mix. We're going to beat it for about 3 minutes until it's cooled to a temperature of 45 degrees Celsius. Once my dough is at temperature, mine's actually a little bit cooler, we're going to add in our eggs very slowly. Now don't be that person that puts in whole eggs, okay? You've got to blend your eggs together and then pour them in. So we're going to put this on a medium speed and we're going to add in our eggs, probably like 1/6 at a time. So we pour in the eggs, and we're going to wait about 30 seconds before we add the next set of eggs. The dough should be very creamy and glossy once it's done. Now a great tip to getting even shoe buns is drawing little circles on the back of a piece of parchment paper, flipping it over and then using those as a guide as you pipe. Now I'm not going to do that because I've piped about 10,000 shoe buns, but we're going to squeeze with even pressure, stop and whip. Working quickly so your crackling doesn't melt, take it out the freezer and place it on the center. I like to leave one uncovered just because it gives me a better guide as to when they're cooked. We go in the oven and we cook for about 35 minutes. Once they come out of the oven, they should be a really nice deep golden brown color. You've got even coverage of that crackling, a great rise on the shoe bun, and they're ready to be filled any way you want.
Hi Chingus, welcome back to another episode of Feeding My Friends Korean Food. First of all, to address the comment, yo, I'm sorry, but you just never had my food. Nah, on a real note, food just always tastes better when it's homemade and made with the people you love. Okay, Okay, maybe not objectively speaking, but as long as you're having fun, that's all that matters. Anyways, you want to drain your fried shallots, salt them immediately after, and save the shallot oil to cook the steak. Wait. Steak in college? Man, I love meat. After resting and cutting your steak, cut some fresh scallions and mince up some garlic. Next, while your ramen is cooking, you want to add in 2/3 of your ramen seasoning, garlic, black pepper, and some sesame seeds. In the bowl, pour in your smoking hot scallion oil and stir the mixture up. And of course, we can't forget about the fried egg. And finally, all that's left to do is crown the kings and enjoy.
Growing up, my mom refused to buy pasta sauce from the store because she believed homemade is healthier. So I'm going to show you her 15-minute creamy rigatoni recipe. Boil your pasta and in a separate pan, combine garlic, chili flakes, onions, and your two main herbs, oregano and rosemary. Next, as shown on the screen, add in crushed tomatoes, a spoon of sugar, milk, top it off with mozzarella and pasta water. It's so easy, and that's why.
Pasta chips in the oven. This was highly requested and they came out so good. Start with boiled pasta, add olive oil, paprika, garlic powder, and today I'm using nutritional yeast. Mix and add to an oven tray lined with baking paper. The tip is to separate them so they're not touching. Then bake for 17 to 20 minutes so they're nice and golden. And then you've got
Weather outside is frightful.
2 potatoes. Cut a circle. Boil for 30 minutes until they turn soft. Go through iced water. Then, my favorite way to mash a potato is using a garlic press. Mix mashed potatoes, glutinous rice flour, cornstarch or potato starch, salt and pepper. Knead the dough until smooth. Roll and cut into the shape you like. You can use a fork to press some pattern. Deep fry over medium heat for 5 minutes until they turn light golden. Then deep fry over high heat for 30 more seconds until they turn golden brown. Chili powder or ketchup.